For far too long, we the people have been limited and constrained by our federal government. Generation after generation realizes less and less of the American dream because of the multitudes of laws, rules, and regulations forced upon us from Congress and the judiciary. Government was created to serve the people, and increasingly, Americans now realize that we serve the government. I do not want to see limited Americans. I do want to see a limited government so that all Americans have the potential to realize their dreams, and not just a select few that curry favor with the government. The time for bandages, quick fixes, and half measures is over. America is infected with a socialist cancer that needs to be cut out of the body if it is to survive. Elect me, and I will be your surgeon, your centurion, your guardian at the gates. Beyond this line, socialism will not cross. What is the solution to socialism? Many in academia, as well as the economists and politicians, get the answer wrong every single time. They say that taxing is the problem, or that spending is the problem. They don't get it. We have a borrowing problem. If we are going to seriously attempt to limit the government, we need to start by giving the government an allowance and not a credit card. It is we, the people, who are paying their credit card. If you are a candidate and you are not serious about placing constitutional limits on borrowing and taxing, then you're not really serious about fixing the problem. It's about time we make government work for us instead of us work for the government. I'm the guy who says, tear up the credit cards instead of us working for the government. I mean, live within your means. My plan is not revenue neutral. The debt beast will only grow if we feed it. I want to put it on a diet. We need to change the dynamics and tell the government how much it gets rather than letting the IRS tell us how much we owe or how much we get left of our paycheck. We pay too much heed to the governments and their experts. We give them way too much credit. We need to start trusting our own common sense again. After all, once upon a time, it was government experts that said the earth was flat. We have contemporary examples of that. In the 70s, they said by the year 2000, the earth would be overpopulated. They said by the 1990s, the earth will run out of oil. They even said that we were heading into an ice age. Today, there are predictions of impending doom and why the government must take control and never stop. Now they try to pass off this ridiculous notion that the earth is warming, and if the government doesn't control the air that we breathe, our coastal cities will endure a catastrophic flood. Of course, the common man knows that this global warming and global cooling, us uneducated folks have been calling it summer and winter for a long time. There are many steps in restoring our faith, our family, and our dreams. And the first step starts with clearing the hurdles that government has put in the way of our prosperity. Creating prosperity is creating jobs. The American dream works only when America is working. And one of the things I learned in school is that government is management, which equals overhead. And we need to cut overhead. Government does not create jobs. It creates bureaucracies. We, the people, are the producers and the wealth generators. And every government job that is outside the scope of the U.S. Constitution limits every American dream of prosperity. As a small business owner, I went on a fact-finding tour. I actually went to visit some places in Ohio where jobs are being created. Places like Mason, Ohio. And listening to those that were actually creating jobs and have started to form my own jobs creation plan. Here is what I've learned so far. And when implemented, this will kickstart the new industrial revolution. The first thing every CEO I talked to told me was get government out of our way. We know how to take a piece of metal. We know how to turn it into a product. And we know how to sell it and make a profit. But you got to get government out of the way. So, what's my plans? First, I want to reduce corporate income tax to 20% of profit, not revenue. Allow a 100% exemption if a 10% donation based on profits is donated to state-approved private charities. This privatization of our social safety net will allow for the legal revival of faith-based charity groups such as churches, and they can provide for the poor and the needy. This also introduced competition and the free market system to America's social safety net. Businesses pay no other federal taxes, like capital gains tax. Sole proprietorship pay no business income tax at all. This will help to spur job growth by government getting out of the way. Eliminate all reoccurring taxes on property. Reoccurring property tax that results in forfeiture of said property, if taxes are not paid, is basically rent that you pay to the state for the use of your property. The Constitution guarantees you the right to own your own property. This is in direct contradiction to the property taxes. This revenue could be replaced with a tax on property insurance premiums, if necessary. Gradually, we need to institute a reciprocal tariff system that preserves the free market system while protecting American jobs and families. Repeal all free trade agreements, including NAFTA. Free trade can occur when imports equal exports in dollar value. Abolish forced coercion in all state and federal programs, such as the mandatory participation into the Ohio business of workmen's compensation. States and the government may require coverage, but may not force you or a company to participate in any government-controlled monopoly. Americans must be allowed a private sector choice. Defund the EPA and repeal all job-killing legislation. The federal government needs to return environmental protection back to the states where it belongs. This includes defunding solar, wind, and global warming research. Gradually reduce companies' healthcare costs by allowing patients an option to sign a waiver, releasing their physician from threats of malpractice litigation. The federal government also buys millions of gas and oil for the National Strategic Reserve. And the federal government also charges billions to energy companies for exploration and land leases. We charge the energy companies huge land leases and then wonder why we pay high prices at the pump. Let's do away with this nonsense by reducing land leases to zero and require compensation in the form of a 10% of the fuel produced off those lands. The lower cost of fuel for the government and the citizens, and allow more potential competition in the energy sector. More competition drives down prices. A single national fuel mixture for summer and winter for gasoline and diesel will also increase our refineries' outputs and drive gasoline and diesel fuel prices down. Have a 20-year moratorium on taxes for emerging energy sectors that help make America energy independent. This will help you close the $1 trillion in America instead of spending those energy dollars overseas. Start phasing out the Department of Education in favor of letting states control their own educational systems. This will allow private industry to play a much more prominent role in the property education of the workforce.